What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Nerds on the Block. My name's Tim. This is Shamar, and we're going to be talking about the Rugrats reboot. More on that next. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe down below, hit that red button and that notification bell to be notified on all future content from us. All right, Rugrats is back, and
finally,
wow.
finally. This is how you do a revival. Like,
yes.
None of this nonsense that they're doing with like Powerpuff Girls. That's a whole other conversation.
No, we're not talking about that. No. That hurts my feelings.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Anyway, Rugrats is doing a really good job coming back, and just like Animaniacs is another one that did a really good job. It's like literally the only two shows that have done it really well so far, and like kudos to them for bringing this show back. And for those who were all worried about, they're gonna change so much and blah, 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 blah. They got the same voice actors to play the babies, minus the parents. Unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Still, like the characters focus solely on the babies.
It's all about the babies at the end of the day, and it's to be expected that actors are going to be changing, and things like that are going to happen. And the theme song itself, exactly the same. They made like very, very, very minor changes, very subtle minor changes, but not enough to for anybody to complain about. Because I know people, they changed this and they changed that. They were completely aware that people were gonna say all those things because
But they still respected
it's
the
what
source
we do.
material. I don't think anything was changed too drastically.
Oh, they didn't change anything at all.
Besides, and now it's 3D animation versus 2D animation. I know some people may appreciate oh, I really just like my 2D animation, but I don't think this going into 3D was jarring. I felt like it was just the next evolutionary step for Rugrats. And
because I'm not crazy about the CGI. It would have been nice if they just polished up the 2D like they did with Animaniacs. They just polished it up. Didn't feel the need to make it CGI or change anything. So I was kind of hoping that they would do that with Rugrats. Unfortunately, they didn't, but it still looks decent. It didn't. I don't feel like, oh, I can't watch this anymore because I didn't feel that way at all. Yeah. And I'm glad that they brought back the original voice actors to play the characters. The only two characters that we're missing right now is Kimmy and Dill, which Dill apparently is supposed to be coming back in season 2. So hopefully they get picked up for a season 2 so we can get Dill to come back. And then Kimmy, of course, the season 1's not done yet. So you never know. She might show up. Right now they got 5 episodes out on Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Go check it out, subscribe. And so they got 5 episodes out right now, and apparently they're going to be doing 26 in total. So I'm assuming that they're biting them off in chunks. I'm assuming that's what they're doing.
That, or they do a one episode every week. Definitely could do that. Because again, it's one of those shows where it's you want to tune in. They want to make sure that they're getting subscriber base, because Paramount Plus is still not a prevalent platform in the streaming space. But things like this definitely makes people view it. It's this is the perfect app for my kids. Netflix for kids and all that stuff. It's still not go jump out for it. But the fact that they have Nickelodeon, and they're such a big brand for this type of content. I hope Rugrats is definitely one of the pioneers that propels the platform.
I'm sure it will. I mean, at the end of the day, considering that it's on Paramount Plus, it's up to the parents or the old school fans to obviously put their kids on it, because it's not like they can go on and be like, oh, let me watch Rugrats, because it's on Paramount Plus. Unfortunately, that's the one thing that sucks about these subscriber channels, is that kids can't just readily go on and look at it like how we used to be able to do that
on TV.
So hopefully the old school fans out there appreciate it enough to be like, I want to show this to my kids, show them why I loved it so much, show them why it's so great, because they did a really good job with this show. I didn't find there was anything out of turn. Again, it was made by 2 of the 3 original people that started the first series. So right there alone should be enough inspiration for you to go and watch it. And
or like make sure that you're not getting deterred from watching it because you're like, oh, it's just Rugrats, but like they're probably gonna screw it up. But like honestly, like you're getting the same elements,
the same
that
essence.
you appreciate. Yeah, the essence of the original, but just with a new like artistic style,
and it's made for the modern. It's made for modern day, obviously. Like it's made for kids of today's. It's obviously made for fans, but let's be real. It's mostly for
capturing a new audience.
Capturing a new audience. It's for the new generation, and you know the show is based in the new era. Like for example. The parents are more into their cell phones, especially the grandfather, Grandpa Lou.
Showing off the tech,
Grandpa Lou has his whole little, his version of Tinder for that show they call Silver Bagel, which was hilarious. The most ridiculous name, but it's just hilarious how they have the whole Tinder joke there. So
trying to find some love, man.
Yeah, it's like, at first I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I like how they changed the grandfather. I'm used to him being that, that old guy that's like, oh, back in my day this and back in my day and then he was always telling some kind of funny story. But now he's kind of like, he's old, but he's all hip and he's old school.
He still doesn't like
hip.
Technology. Like he kind of states like when he closes the door, he's like, I don't want to be a part of this stuff. So I still think they keep the character.
They do a lot of fun things with him. And I thought he stood out more in this episode than I remember him standing out
in the original.
In the original, but I mean, it's been a while since I watched the originals. But just comparing the first episode of this to the first episode in this new one, I find like the parents took a bit of a back seat in the new one, whereas in the old school one, the babies and the parents kind of had their A. Basically, the babies were like the A story, the parents were the B story. Whereas in this new one, it was obviously more focused on the babies, and then the grandfather was kind of sprinkled on top of it as well. So, I hope that, going forward into the series, they kind of balance the stories between the adults and the babies, because the adults had some fun moments too, and there's no shame in giving them the shine that they deserve, right? Because a lot of them were pretty fun written characters.
Yeah, no, it was a good show, and it's like, again, this Rugrats thrives off the imagination of these babies, and what the show opens up with like a whole adventure, and there's dinosaurs, and it's just like that's all like as an imagination. Like you gotta love that. Like it's like that's what the show is for, and it's just to pique like the imagination of kids, and like if that's what you're like looking for out of Rugrats, the show does that tenfold, and that's how it's starting. So and those other episodes that you can watch as well definitely only showcase that even more.
I was a little sad what they did to Susie and what they did to Howard, but we'll get to Howard in a second. Susie usually is the foil to Angelica. So whenever Angelica is bullying the babies, Susie is the one that kind of steps in and is like, no, Angelica, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Get out of here, boy. But now, she seems to be just one with the babies, and then Angelica is still Angelica, but like Susie doesn't really stand up to her the way she did in the original series, which is kind of disappointing, because that was a big part of what made Susie so great, is because she was kind of like, for one, her and Angelica were the same age. They were both 3, the babies are 1. So it was nice to see that the babies had like this, obviously this little older
guardian
that kind of went on the adventures with them. And then whenever Angelica stepped in, she's like, no, what are you doing?
Come back to reality.
This is my squad. You're not going to talk to them or act like that towards them, And then Howard, unfortunately, got knocked out of the show. They decided to make Phil and Lil not have Howard as a father in this show. So their mom, Betty, is just a single mom. She owns a business, and she's just doing her thing on her own. And now they made her part of the LGBTQ community, which is great. I like that they're making the characters more inclusive, and I just thought it was a shame that they took out Howard, because they could have made Howard her brother. They could have done a bunch of other things with his character, but they decided to take him out, which who knows, they might bring him back later on, but it was just disappointing not to see him in the episode, because like, of course, he's, even though he wasn't a big character, he's still part of the crew. He's part of the squad, and he's just a small piece of what made, the entire family what it was. So it's a shame that he wasn't in the first episode, but hopefully we get more of that. Same thing with Dee Dee's grandparents. They had their moments too. And, you know, unfortunately we didn't get to see them. So, you know, who knows?
Yeah, again, it leaves room for other characters to be dropped in, and it's like in a show that has the tenure to be going multiple seasons, like dropping another character like that can definitely, you know, get more people flocking to the series. So like, again, in like, when you think of it like in a first episode concept, you're like, oh, I wish everyone was just here. You want to bring everybody back, but it's like, that's kind of smart to, you know, be like, hey, we're going to trickle them back. Maybe they're back from a trip. Maybe they're back from something. We got to include an incentive.
Provided that they are going to put them in the show.
Hopefully, anyway.
It'd be nice. Yeah, it's nice that they're holding them off. And, you know, and they're trying to be modern, and they're trying to be as inclusive as possible. And, you know, you got to love them for that. They're trying to be the best they can be, you know, for everybody. And, you know, they're off to a great start with this series. And I hope that they get more than just a season. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I give them like 4 out of 5 stars. They're off to a really great start with this series. You know, way better than most, you know, revivals that have happened in the past.
Yeah, like I want to reserve like my opinion like when I watch the whole thing, but I do think they're off to a great start. And I think like even if you want to put like your kids onto this, or just like any like your nephews, your nieces, just to watch Rugrats, because they definitely are probably watching Paw Patrol right now. So like let them go watch Rugrats
exactly.
instead.
If you can let them watch that, you can let them watch Rugrats.
Yeah, you definitely have to. So yeah, those were our impressions of the Rugrats reboot revival. Let us know if you had a chance to view it yourself. If you did, leave a comment down below. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to Nerds on the Block for more content from us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Yo, you still here, dog? Yo, subscribe to the channel, bro. Make sure you hit that notification bell to stay locked on all of our content when it drops.
What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, bro.
But Seriously,
like, it's so easy, bro. Just click the button, bro.